Welcome back, Rebels, to the second episode of our Mentorship Mastery Program here on intentional trading. This is not just another trading channel. This is a doctrine in motion, a place where traders evolve from reaction to creation, where chaos meets structure and structure becomes mastery. Before we dive in, I want to acknowledge every one of you who tuned into the first episode. You didn't just watch, you showed up for your evolution. But if you haven't experienced episode 1, pause. Go back, watch it, let it build you. Because what we're constructing here doesn't work in isolation. Every episode is a structural layer, each principle reinforcing the next. You cannot skip steps because mastery is not assembled randomly. It is built with intention, one layer of understanding at a time. Here we don't just trade, we craft, we design, we align our behavior with our architecture. Because in this ecosystem, your trade is not a reaction to price, it's a reflection of your structure. And your results, they are predictable, not by chance, but by design. So before we proceed, I want you to engage right now. Comment below, what is your one trading goal for the week? Not 10, just one. Clarity begins with focus. Commit it publicly. Anchor it internally. Because mentorship isn't a monologue, it's a dialogue. A shared construction of mastery through reflection, discipline, and design. Now let me ask you something raw. How many times have you executed a trade, felt confident at entry, only to experience the cold sting of regret minutes later? How many times have you felt that rush of excitement turn into panic the moment price moved against you? That moment when your conviction collapses into confusion, that is not the market humbling you. That is the exposure of an internal void. The absence of structure. Let's dissect this. You entered because it felt right. No framework, no pre-validated conditions, no objective reasoning, just a fleeting spark of intuition dressed up as conviction. And once you're in, you watch the market, frozen between hope and fear. Every tick now dictates your emotion. Every candle rewrites your bias. You shift from planning to praying, from designing to defending. You exit too early and call it caution. You hold too long and call it faith. But the truth, that's not trading. That's gambling with vocabulary. Pause right here. Recall the last trade that hurt, not because it lost, but because you knew it wasn't aligned with structure. Ask yourself, what was missing? Was it criteria, risk definition, emotional discipline? Because where there is no structure, there is no sovereignty over outcome. Execution without structure is gambling because you've surrendered your decision-making to randomness. You are relying on emotion to guide you through uncertainty. A territory emotion was never designed to navigate. And when randomness governs behavior, inconsistency is inevitable. You've seen it. The account blow-ups, the regret cycles, the self-doubt that creeps in after every impulsive trade. Each one is a symptom of emotional execution trying to masquerade as strategy. Emotion trades from feeling right. Structure trades from being aligned. And that, Rebels, is where most traders remain trapped. They believe their emotional conviction equals readiness. But conviction without structure is just courage without direction. You might charge into battle, but you won't know where you're going. Now let's contrast that with a structural entry. A structural entry is intentional. It is predefined, pre-tested, and pre-qualified. You do not trade because the market looks good. You trade because your model conditions align. The time, the pattern, the price behavior, all converge in confirmation. You execute because your framework permits it. You risk because your criteria justify it. And if the trade fails, your mind stays clear because the failure belongs to the market, not to your process. There is no guilt, no panic, no self-blame. There is only data, feedback for refinement. Every loss becomes a lesson, and every win becomes proof of alignment. Now pause again, Rebels. Visualize your next trade. Do you have the same clarity? Can you define your entry trigger without hesitation? Can you articulate your risk before clicking buy or sell? If not, that gap right there is where emotion will invade. And that is where we must build. Every hesitation you've ever felt in a trade is not weakness. It's a signal of incomplete structure. Every panic exit, a symptom of emotional dominance. Structure doesn't just organize your system, it regulates your state. It transforms uncertainty into instruction. It replaces noise with narrative. In trading, structure is not a preference, It is a law. You either follow it or you surrender to chaos. And chaos doesn't negotiate, it consumes. Imagine a trader who knows exactly when to enter, exactly how much to risk, exactly when to exit. That trader doesn't chase price. They command behavior. That trader doesn't react. They respond. Their mind operates like an instrument of precision because structure turns the market's chaos into a navigable landscape. Now, rebels, here's where you lean in. If you've ever caught yourself saying, "I'll just get in because the market is moving," pause right there. Recognize that phrase for what it is, a symptom of emotional trading wrapped in temporary confidence. That voice inside you, the one rushing you to act, isn't intuition. It's fear disguised as urgency. And every time you obey it, you reinforce the very behavior that keeps you inconsistent. True intuition only emerges after structure. Only when your framework is tested and ingrained does your instinct become trustworthy. So, rebels, ask yourself, are you trading to feel right or trading to be aligned? Because one seeks emotional relief, the other seeks structural truth. And that brings us to the next stage, because understanding why structure matters is just the beginning. The real transformation begins when we dissect the emotional entry, the reactive impulses that masquerade as decision making, and replace them with structural design. That's where we're heading next. In the upcoming segment, we'll go deep into the mechanics of structural entries, how to architect setups that neutralize hesitation and dissolve panic before they ever arise. You'll see, step by step, how to make your execution process so clear, so disciplined that emotion becomes irrelevant and every trade becomes a statement of design. But before we move on, let's make this episode interactive. Comment below. What's one emotional trade you took recently? Describe it honestly. Was it fear-based, impulsive, overconfident? Don't hide from it. Own it, because naming your mistake is the first step to converting it into a model-proof lesson. Now, rebels, let's take a step deeper. Let's move beyond theory, beyond charts, beyond signals. Let's talk about something far more intimate, the line between emotional entry and structural entry. Not as abstract concepts, but as forces that live inside you every single trading day. An emotional entry is seductive. It whispers, it tempts, it gives you that rush, that familiar feeling that this time it just feels right. The market looks perfect, the candles are aligning, I can sense it moving. And so you leap, you react, you chase, you force the hand of timing that was never yours to command. But here's the hidden truth. In that instant, the market already sees you. Your movement becomes predictable, your emotion becomes visible, and what was meant to be a trade of precision becomes a trade of reaction. That is emotional entry, reactive, inconsistent, dangerous. It's not just a trading error, it's a symptom of an untrained mind and an undisciplined process. The entry point was never your model's alignment, it was your emotions' impatience. And that's why emotional entries don't build consistency, they build chaos. They erode confidence, distort perception, and fracture the internal trust between you and your system. You know this because you felt it. The sting of hesitation after entry, the panic when price moves against you, the whisper of regret that says you knew better. Now contrast that with structural entry. Structural entry is not born out of impulse, it is born out of design. It is the manifestation of discipline through rule, a convergence of clearly defined criteria that declare, with near certainty, this is the moment to act. There's no guessing, no hoping, only execution governed by probability and logic. The emotional trader asks, does it feel right? The intentional trader declares, my structure says yes. That's the divide. And it's not a small one. It's the fault line between chaos and mastery. Let's visualize this together. You've planned your setup. You've identified your entry point. You've defined your stop loss. You've measured your risk. Now the market begins to move. You watch, but you don't chase. You wait, not with fear, but with readiness. The structure whispers, not yet. Then alignment, confluence, confirmation, and you execute. No rush, no noise, no panic. That is structural entry. And here's the deeper truth. At that point, you are not trying to beat the market. You are synchronizing with a design that already anticipates the behavior of chaos. You are operating inside structure. Now pause here for a moment and reflect. How often have you traded from structure? And how often from sensation? Every trader watching this has felt that silent battle, The war between what you know and what you feel. You've prepared, you've studied, and yet the market still triggers hesitation, fear, and impulse. Why? Because structure isn't just knowledge, it's training. It's behavioral discipline made visible through consistent execution. When you align with structure, hesitation becomes irrelevant. When your model dictates your move, panic loses its grip. You stop reacting to price. You start responding through design. You are no longer a hostage to volatility. You are a deliberate participant within it. Your trades become mirrors of intention, not reflections of emotion. And that, Rebels, is the shift from reaction to creation, from emotional chaos to structural authorship. It is the very essence of intentional trading. Now let's bring this mentorship into motion. Here's your first interactive task. Go back to your last 5 trades. Lay them bare before you. For each trade, write down one word, emotional or structural. Be honest, brutally honest. Then calculate the outcome of each. Which ones align with your process? Which ones align with your impulses? Because you cannot transform what you refuse to identify. And once you do, you'll begin to see the pattern. You'll see how emotion distorts probability. You'll see how structure reclaims authority. You'll see why consistency is never an accident. It's always a design. Now here's where it gets deeper. Structure doesn't just prevent loss. It creates freedom. Freedom from hesitation. Freedom from panic. Freedom from second-guessing your own competence. Because true freedom in trading isn't found in the market's movement. It's found in your mastery of response. That's what structure gives you. And that's where intentionality becomes power. So before we move to the next segment, where we'll uncover how to embed structure so deeply into your trading psyche that fear and hesitation can no longer reach you, I want you to reflect. If emotional entry is reaction and structural entry is intention, where do you want to live as a trader? Which world do you choose to inhabit? The chaotic, emotional world of guessing, or the disciplined, intentional world of structure? Comment below. Engage. Participate. Don't just watch this, live this, because this isn't passive education. This is active transformation. And remember, the moment you trade from structure, you stop reacting to uncertainty and start commanding probability. This is intentional trading. This is where mastery begins. And now, Rebels, we arrive at the final stage, the battlefield between reaction and creation. The question is simple, yet transformative. How does structure eliminate hesitation and panic? How does it convert uncertainty into clarity, fear into disciplined action? Because the truth is, markets don't just test your strategy, they test your structure. And without one, you are just another emotional participant reacting to motion instead of mastering it. Let's explore that together. When you trade with a pre-built framework, your mind is no longer debating every tick of price. Every candle is not a new decision. It's a reflection of a decision already made. You have a playbook. You have criteria. You know exactly when to enter, how much to risk, and when to step out. That clarity is not theoretical. It's mechanical. It is immediate. It is absolute. There is no room for hesitation because hesitation only thrives in uncertainty. And panic? Panic is what fills the void when structure is absent. Structure doesn't remove fear. It removes confusion. It gives fear a job description, a boundary, a protocol. That's why disciplined traders don't panic. They process. Now, Rebels, pause for a moment. Think of your last trade that shook your confidence. Was it truly the market that made you panic, or the absence of structure to interpret what was happening? Reflect. Think about a soldier following a battle plan. Every movement, every step, every action is defined. The soldier is not free from danger, but danger no longer dictates behavior. Execution flows from preparation. The battlefield is chaotic, yet structure transforms that chaos into a map. The soldier isn't calm because the war is peaceful. He's calm because his preparation is stronger than his panic. That is your market. That is your battlefield. And your structure? That's your armor, your compass, your code of engagement. Without it, every tick feels like a bullet. With it, every movement becomes an instruction. Now, Rebels, visualize your next trade setup. Picture the volatility, the noise, the uncertainty. Then see yourself moving through it, step by step, not guessing but executing. That mental rehearsal is the seed of confidence. That is what transforms reaction into command. Let's get practical. Take a trade you're planning this week, just one. Identify the structure guiding it. What confirms your entry? What invalidates your setup? What defines your risk? What ends the trade, win or lose? Now imagine the market moving against you momentarily. Do you hesitate? Do you freeze, adjust, or rationalize? If hesitation appears, it's not your emotion that's weak, it's your structure that's incomplete. Your job as an intentional trader is to make your structure so complete, so detailed, so self-governing that chaos cannot rewrite it. Because chaos will always test it, and the market will always ask the same question. Are you consistent enough to deserve consistency? Write down your process. Don't trust your memory. Trust your documentation. Clarity begins on paper before it exists in performance. Structure trains your nervous system. Every time you act in alignment with your rules, you rewire your response to stress. You stop needing the market to confirm your identity. You start trusting your design more than your impulse. Losses no longer sting. They inform. Wins no longer excite. They confirm. Every outcome becomes feedback for refinement, not judgment for your worth. Ask yourself, rebels, what emotion still hijacks my execution? What behavior returns when pressure increases? Trace it back to structure, because behind every emotional spike is a structural gap waiting to be filled. And this is where mentorship becomes transformational. The market will never promise predictability, but your structure can. Mentorship helps you translate experience into framework, emotion into awareness, and awareness into precision. Your structure becomes your anchor. Your decision-making becomes your instrument. And slowly, your results begin to reflect one thing: alignment. Hesitation dissolves because you've already decided before price moves. Panic evaporates because fear now has structure to live in. Execution becomes deliberate. Losses become tuition. And every consistent gain becomes proof of internal order. This is how you evolve from a trader chasing signals to a designer commanding probability. You stop seeking the market's approval and start executing your internal architecture. Before we close, rebels, I want you to commit to one truth. Take your structure seriously. Document it. Test it. Protect it. Your structure is not just your system, it's your mirror. It reveals who you are when the market tests you. Execution without structure is failure in disguise. When you act without rules, without alignment, without design, you're not trading, you're gambling. And the market will always expose the unprepared. Rebels, right now, decide that you'll no longer act from emotion. Decide that your trades will express structure, not impulse. Decide that intentionality will govern every position you take. Now let's externalize that commitment. Go to the comments and post your action plan for the coming week. Share your structure. State your rule for entry, your stop protocol, your management approach. Let the community hold you accountable, because accountability strengthens structure, and intentionality thrives when expressed, not hidden. Rebels, this episode may end here, but your evolution does not. Every moment you document, execute, and refine your structure, you're rewriting your trading identity. You're proving that chaos can be commanded when design governs behavior. Next episode, we'll go deeper into advanced structural alignment and probabilistic edge, the tools that transition you from emotional trading to structural creation. You will learn not just how to survive uncertainty, but how to design through it. If this message has resonated, do not just watch. Apply it, document it, execute it, share it. Because intentional trading is not just a channel, it's a movement. And this movement exists to create traders who build models, not moods. You are no longer at the mercy of the market. You are the model. You are the structure. You are the proof. Rebels, your journey has only begun. Now go, document your plan, and execute your design intentionally.